Thank you, Professor Yanda. Another round of applause for Professor Yanda, please. Thank you. It's now my singular honor to welcome the Director of the Institute of Resource Assessment, Dr. Joel Norbert, to come and deliver welcome remarks to the delegates. Karibu.
Distinguished guest of honor, Your Excellency Elizabeth Jacobson, Ambassador of Royal Norwegian Embassy, Professor Benedetta Killian, representing Vice Chancellor, University of Darcelam and UVC Research, Vice Chancellor, State University of Zanzibar, Dr. Zakia Abubakar, research team from Norway, mainly recognizing also the presence of Professor Einar Rathen, who is the project leader for the CENSU project. Principals, directors, the University of Darcelam and management of the University of Darcelam, and other researchers from other universities. Understand we have 5 universities in this particular project. University of Darcelam, Oslo Metropolitan University, which is the lead university, which is leading the project. And we have also University of Darcelam, which is mainly the leader for the Southern partners, and University of Eduardo Mondlane, State University of Zanzibar, and also Lurio University. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to the University of Darcelam. And looking at the number of universities which are participating in this particular project, we feel privileged and honored to host this launching of the CENSU project of climate change, energy and sustainability. So we are really delighted to have you here in Tanzania, for those who are coming from Norway. But also I'd like to, as the hosting Institute of Resource Assessment, Center for Climate Change Studies, we'd also like to appreciate this support, which is coming from Norway too, which is basically on the capacity building. And through this project, we are really happy that we are going to have capacity building of our PhDs and master's students who are academic staff and also other Tanzanians as well. We really appreciate the support which we'll get from this NORAD project, NORAD 2. But also I'd like to thank the team that we would like to ensure our commitment to support the activities of this particular project, support so that the set objectives of this particular project are achieved as planned in the time frame of the project. So as the hosting institution, I'm sure the Vice Chancellor, representative of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Benedetta Killian, will say something on behalf of the university, but let me say something on behalf of IRA, that we are committed and we are delighted to have this project at the University of Darcelam, and we are committed to the project activities. We'll support the project activities so that we achieve what is supposed to be required. With these few remarks, I would like to welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Norbert, for your kind remarks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear from the project leader, that's Professor Einar Rathen, who will deliver his remarks. Karibu, Professor Einar.
Asante sana. Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Benedetta Killian, Vice Chancellor, Professor Zakia Mohammed Abubakar, Ambassador Elizabeth Jacobson, Chancellor Odd Arnesen, Dr. Joel Norbert, Professor Pius Yanda, distinguished representatives of key stakeholders, or would-be key stakeholders of this project, from ministries, regional administrations, local communities, NGOs, colleagues here at the University of Darcelam, friends, ladies and gentlemen. What's the difference between a blessing and a curse? That's probably not a proper research question. It's a very important question for us now. To answer this question, we must realize it's both a simple answer and a very complex answer. And let's take the simple answer first. A blessing, in our days, that is international collaboration among friends, north and south on the planet. This project is a blessing. Collaboration between Norway started with Tanzania in Tanganyika at the time, 1961. In Mozambique, 1974. So from the very first day of independence, your countries, Norway, along with Sweden, Denmark, other progressive nations, aligned with you, we have been partners throughout for the last 60 years. And thanks to still some available funds for collaboration between the global south and the global north, we can continue celebrating this blessing. And this is not anymore something we can take for certain, because egoism, nationalism, populism is taking over big parts of the world, where we think about ourselves only, about our local community only, about our own country only, own group only, against other groups, against other countries. That's the curse. But as I said, it's a blessing to take part in this project. It's a blessing to get to know Professor Pius Janda, distinguished project coordinator here at the University of Darcelam, Professor Hajime Mawura from the State University of Zanzibar, Professor Ian Bryson, who happened to born and grow up here in Tanzania, and then has lived in Norway and been very important for the last 40 years in supervising students from the whole world in ecological issues, marine biology, and ecological sustainability issues. We also have the blessing of integrating Mozambique in this project. So Professor José Makwana from University of Eduardo Mondlane, and Dr. Isabel Silva from the Public University of the Northern Mozambique, Unilurium. That was the simple answer. The complex answer is, when it comes to blessing or curse, is what Mozambique and Tanzania are now facing in the Rovuma Basin. The largest natural gas reserves surrounding Africa, and one of the largest in the world. And we know from history and we know from research that for too many countries, for too many communities, discovering oil and gas has become a curse. So that is what we call the resource curse in the literature. So it's profits and benefits for very few, and usually also those very few are from other countries, from richer countries, and sufferings, extra burdens, sometimes even have to pay with their lives for local people, for local communities surrounding these oil and gas exploration activities. Norway is a country which found oil late 1960s, and we started to explore oil and increasingly gas, natural gas, in the 1970s commercially. Today Norway and is competing with Russia to be the main supplier of natural gas to the whole European continent, and also exporting oil to the whole world. Approximately 25% of our national income is from the oil and petroleum sector. 40% of our exports. But we still pay our tax, our personal income tax, and all the consumption tax, VAT, and so on. It has hardly decreased at all since we found the oil. Citizens have to keep on with their duties. We have enjoyed a few more obligations, but that is not due to the oil. It's due to the struggles of people, civil society, of political parties, and so on, for new reforms to extend the welfare state. And it has been mainly funded by our taxation efforts, and not by our oil and gas. And that is, I think, the success of Norway, is that we haven't depended our welfare completely on oil and gas exploration. There were some very wise people, actually, in Norway. We have been, in this aspect, I think we have been blessed with good politicians, so that the management of the gas and oil resources have been wisely managed. Giving the first decades, it gave priority to a very slow growth, and very careful that it didn't destroy the natural environment. This was very important the first decades. And also not heating up our economy, causing too much inflation and so on, the so-called Dutch disease. Keeping oil activities checked by the ordinary economic activities, and not destroying the feasibility, the profitability of ordinary economic activities of the ordinary citizens. So that was, I think, the first very important lesson. Then, end of the 1990s, the revenues from the oil and gas became so overwhelming that our parliament decided to put all the money, channel all the royalties and taxes from oil and gas, and even the profits from the state oil company, into a sovereign wealth fund, formerly called our state pension fund abroad. If that money had been put in a pension fund and invested inside Norway, that would have blown up our economy. So the reason was, all right, invest this on international. We make these international investments outside Norway. and spreading the risks and so on of these investments. And the revenues, annual revenues from this sovereign wealth fund, only a part of the annual revenues from these investments is spent in Norway. And the politicians decided this to be 4% of the, never to exceed 4% of the value of the whole sovereign wealth fund in 1 year. So this way, politicians were hindered from coming with too expensive populist promises to the electors, for instance, before the elections, because they were bound by this rule, not spending too much of the oil revenues. Today, we have also very interesting debates in Norway about, okay, fine, we have this sovereign wealth fund, but what about the sustainability of the investments from this sovereign wealth fund? Does it really promote a sustainable development worldwide? Does it sustain good government? Does it sustain human rights? So there are also provisions in the sovereign wealth fund that, yes, the companies and undertakings in which we invest have to respect the human rights. There are even detailed rules that they are not allowed to produce cluster bombs, landmines, and other connected to the arms industry. And there are increasingly calls that also there need to be restrictions on the CO2 emissions of the companies to which we invest. So the new government who took over, a more left-oriented government took over in Norway now after our national elections in October, and they have promised in their electoral platform that Norway will pay more attention to the global sustainability and climate effects of our sovereign wealth fund. Okay, let me conclude, because this is not a project about learning from Norway. So this is a project where to encourage Mozambique and Tanzania to learn from its own people and from its own experiences as they go. And also to consider whether are there sustainable ways of exploring the natural gas, for instance, by replacing more polluting or environmentally more dangerous types of fuel, wood fuel and so on, for the domestic cooking. That is possible if the will is there to use the natural resource of gas that way. As we speak, there are thousands of people gathered in Glasgow in the COP26. So yes, very much focus is on the responsibility of the international oil companies, oil-producing countries, to use their financial muscles to promote alternative renewable energies and to transit the whole world economy into a decarbonized economy with zero emissions, CO2 emissions. So that's the challenge. You have milestones 2030, 2040, 2050, and so on. But there is an agreement that the poor countries, the countries in development, they have the right to increase their consumption of fossil energy. The problem is that the rich countries are not so willing to reduce theirs. But this is a zero-sum game. In order to achieve the Paris and implement the Paris Agreement and to reach the goals of 50% reduction of CO2 emissions by 2040, and in European Union there are even more higher ambitions for 2030. In order to do that, the rich countries with the largest economic activities, industrial activities, and CO2 emissions have to cut drastically their emissions in solidarity, not only with the future generations who have to suffer from the effects, the impacts of the 1.5 or 2 or 2.5 or even 3 degrees increase of the temperature, but also in solidarity with people everywhere on this planet with a standard of living far, far below what the population in richer countries can enjoy. So there's a kind of a dual solidarity here, both with the future generations, which call upon all of us, and a solidarity between the existing generations on the planet, between the richer, the better off, with those worse off. So this is a challenge which also this project, although very small and very insignificant in the big picture, but together with thousands of other similar initiatives which is taking place just now, and even more thousands and tens of thousands in the near future, maybe we can avoid the terrible curses threatening this planet and the humanity. With those words, thank you. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Ina, for your remarks. Indeed, the University of Darcelam also, about a week ago, was able to host a small event for sending messages to COP26 on issues of climate, and the theme was Youth and Climate Change in Tanzania. So we also participated at the University of Darcelam. Now that we have heard remarks from Professor Yanda, from Dr. Norbert on behalf of IRA, we've heard remarks from the project leader. I think it's now befitting that we come and hear remarks from the partner of the University of Darcelam here in Tanzania, that is the State University of Zanzibar. And it's now my honor to welcome Dr. Zakia Abubakar, who is the Vice Chancellor of SUZA. Karibu.
Thank you very much. Our guest of honor, Her Excellency Elizabeth Jakobsen, the Ambassador of Norway in Tanzania, Professor Benedetta Kilian, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research, UDSM, but today here also representing the Vice Chancellor of the University of Darcelam, the Director of Climate Change Center, Dr. Joel Norbert, the Professor Professor Yanda, the Norwegian team that form part of this project, principals, directors, dean of all the universities that are taking part in this project, the researchers from the ministry, from the regions, the two regions that has been mentioned here in Tanzania. First of all, allow me to take this opportunity. First of all, good afternoon to all of you. And please allow me to take this opportunity, first of all, and first to thank the University of Darcelam for organizing this gathering. Today we are here to launch a new project, which is a follow-up of the project which has been here before and being funded by the NORAD. As I stand here today, I would like to sincerely, on behalf of my university, the State University of Zanzibar, to express our deep gratitude to the NORHED through NORAD, to the highly appreciated to this project, the NORAD 1, and now we are going to NORAD 2. This project has really, of course, we as sister university, Darcelam and other universities of Tanzania, we do collaborate in one way or the other. But having a project like this is another platform for us to meet and collaborate in research as well as to collaborate in our academic endeavor. So to this, we appreciate very much, Madam, your support to the country. As we stand here today, or we gather here today to launch this new NORAD 2, which is on climate change, energy, sustainability, transformation, and governance, we have, I think, on my part, I would like to just to highlight on few things that these two projects, the one that has already completed, has done to our university, and the new one, what do we expect? SUSA as a young university, just this September, we completed the 20th year since SUSA started to operate. SUSA started to operate in 2001, and now we completed 20 years. Unlike the University of Darcelam, which has over 60 years of experience, we are still learning and we are still trying to work hard to move forward. So, as we stand here, let me remark on first on NORAD 1, what has this project been able to facilitate, and how SUSA managed to benefit from that project. So from project NORAD 1, that is first round NORAD, SUSA managed to secure at least 2 competitive projects for the NORAD 1. One V3R Pwani and climate change project. V3 Pwani, which is a climate change project, and Translate a project which based mainly on education matters. So these projects, they supported SUSA to establish at least 4 postgraduate studies. Before this project, SUSA had at least 3 master program, 3 master program as postgraduate program, and 1 PhD in Kiswahili. So with this project, SUSA managed to add at least 4 more postgraduate programs, which is a benefit to the SUSA, to the state university, but to our students who used to go far away outside Zanzibar to look for this program. Instead, they were brought at home thanks to this project. Apart from that, we had a climate change and natural resource management program. So 3 postgraduate, as I have said, were for the education program, and this include master Master of Youth, Gender and Development, training of Kiswahili to speak of other language, TEXL, and Master of Education in Language. So this has increased the number of our postgraduate students. We had very limited number, but with this initiative, SUSA has benefited a lot. But the NORHED one also contributed in capacity building through training of academicians, in which 7 PhD seven staff received the PhD program and other in master. So also through this program were what we call outreach activity, where community at different level and different area, especially on coastal area, were involved in activity which allow them to learn and to manage, to organize themselves and to prepare themselves on how to cope on different aspects of climate change. Not only that, but the first part also supported infrastructure development, where there was establishment of GSI laboratory, which were not there, where SUSA was equipped with necessary research equipment. We have computer labs, we have language lab, also assisted in security and bar coding system for our library services. And also, for the first time, we established the Youth and Gender Unit. Collaborative research among the project partner resulted in building capacity for young scientists, for our young scientists, but at the same time, for those which were not as young as they were not very young, but they managed to develop and increase their experience on this area. So this was an ideal platform for SUSA to benefit as it slowly develop and build its capacity as one of the public university in Tanzania. But it also, the first project, also helped the Zanzibar to build capacity of policymaker and community, as I have said, in addressing climate change issue. So as today we stand where we gather here to inaugurate or to launch the second phase, it is our expectation that much of this work that has been done in NORHED 1 will be carried over, and new aspect of research and academic will also be part of this new project. It is expected that in the new project that SUSA team will once again manage to take part in the two projects. One is the Samaki and the other one is the CENSU project. It is also expected this project will address the sustainability of changes related to natural resources governance, as well, especially in the energy and in the energy sector. As you know, Zanzibar, we are moving also toward the energy sector. We have this new department of energy, oil and energy, and we are trying still, we are on research. We haven't yet started actually to extract maybe the gas and oil, but as we are preparing as we are going there, we need to prepare here, and this project, it will be a benefit for that particular purpose. It is, as I have said, it is expected that this new project, it will build on the achievement and the lesson learned from the previous project of NORHED 1. It is worth noting that this project will also focus on the current economic agenda of the current Zanzibar revolutionary government, and that is blue economy, including fishery and energy and gas and oil. It also, I understand that this CENSU project is planning to consolidate and enhance the quality of academic program, especially postgraduate master and PhD. Further, to support master and PhD in internationalization and student mobility. I hope also on staff mobility. It is also, as the first one, it will focus on interdisciplinary approach. So many of our staff from different disciplines related to this project will be able to benefit. It is also going to build the staff capacity, as we have heard, that there will be PhD student as well as master. It will carry out interdisciplinary research, especially in climate change, and develop the capacity of a local community. We need to prepare our local community to manage, to handle the adversities that are coming together with the issues of climate change. So it is another opportunity for SUSA, as I know for other universities that will be involved in this project, to work together and to benefit from this project for the well-being of their institution, but as well as the community that are involved in this project. It is my hope, before I conclude that this is my small remark, it is my hope that the dedication and the seriousness that have shown by our institution that were involved in NORHED 1, and now we have increased the number of partners in this project from Mozambique. It is our hope that similar and the same zeal and dedication and seriousness will be shown, and commitment to ensure even higher achievement and deliverable from this project. With those few remarks, dear participant, I say thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zakia Abubakar, the Vice Chancellor of SUSA. Another round of applause, please. As I'm about to welcome
Ministries of the United Republic of Tanzania, I recognize the presence of regional representatives from Lindi and Mtwara, and by the way, I must declare interest, that's where I come from. But I was not part of the selection committee. So welcome to the University of Darcelam. Our visitors from Mozambique, glad to be here, to see you here. Our media fraternity, students who are here with us, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I thank God for His grace to enable us to meet here today in good health, given the new normal that the world is at now. It's my pleasure also to welcome all our distinguished guests to the University of Darcelam. I sincerely thank you for your time and for valuing the University of Darcelam. You have arrived, Your Excellence, at the moment when our university is commemorating its 60th anniversary, which we launched on 25th October 2021, and will continue with this celebration for the rest of this academic year. And we are meeting here today while the same topic is under very intense discussion at Glasgow, COP26. And I think we are together with them in the discussion on climate change and related issues. Your Excellency, let me say that today is a big day for the University of Darcelam. And probably I must say today is a good day for research at the University of Darcelam, the portfolio that I'm heading. This cooperation between Norway and the University of Darcelam, of course, goes way back. Here at the University of Darcelam, actually a good number of our staff have been trained, have received their PhD studies either in Norway or through scholarship by NORAD, then and now NORAD. And actually the Scandinavian countries have been our very good collaborators in terms of research. So when we talk about research at the University of Darcelam, in terms of external funding, basically we talk about the Scandinavian country. Actually, they are the leading donors or development partners who support research here at the University of Darcelam. Sweden is leading through CEDA, and I can see Norway also getting very close to where Sweden is in terms of the volume of research funding. So we value this collaboration and this cooperation, and we are looking forward to very fruitful research collaboration in future. But what is so critical with this cooperation is the fact that this cooperation actually supports in a direct way our Vision 2061, which intends to make this university a fully blown research university. So this kind of collaborations actually play very well, very nicely. They fit very well with our vision of becoming a fully research university, a world-class university. As I've said, we are now 60 years old, and we are very proud of our achievements so far. When the university started, it started with only 14 students, with 1 female student. Today, we are proud to have 43,000 students here on campus, with almost 47% of our students being female students. So this is actually a big achievement. And these kinds of collaborations enable us to achieve our objectives. I commend the Center for Climate Change Studies and the project coordinator for making this event a success. And Your Excellency, I should use this opportunity to mention that actually the Center for Climate Change here at the university, we are very proud of it. It's one of the institutions that connect this university with the outside world by having collaborative research with researchers from all over the world. But it connects us with the community because of the work that it does at the grassroots level. So this is our research center of excellence, and we support it 100%. And let me assure you that we are going to make a follow-up of all these projects in terms of financial management, but also in terms of the project outcomes that are intended out of this cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very much pleased to be here to oversee this launch of a project. Oh, I forgot, I'm presenting the Vice Chancellor. So at some point I add my own views with regards to research. I'm very much pleased to be here to oversee this launch of a project titled Climate Change, Energy Sustainability, Transformation and Governance, funded by NORAD. This is among 11 projects. Actually, out of 18 projects that NORAD supports, 11 projects are from the University of Darcelam. So we are very proud of it. And you know what we did, Your Excellency? When the call came out, we asked different research groups to bid for this call. And we gave them money. You know, in order to get a big amount of money, you have to put a little bit of money. So we gave them money to go out for a retreat so that they can write very good competitive proposals, of which they did. There were many, there were several. But out of those, 11 projects were able to win this call, and we are very proud of it. So that's why we got a good number of projects. In this program, I understand the Center for Climate Change Studies had 2 projects, one of which was covering a similar geographical area as the one we are launching today. Coincidentally, some of the project team members for the concluded project in the previous, in Norway 1, are also involved in this project. So this is a welcome achievement by our university and of course for the Center for Climate Change Studies. As we launch this project, we wish to reiterate our utmost appreciation of the Norwegian government represented here by Her Excellency, the Ambassador. The University of Darcelam, as I have said before, has benefited quite a lot from the support of NORAD and other Norwegian funding agencies for many, many years. And the support has been through research and capacity building, and a good number, as I've said, of our faculties have been trained in Norway. So we are very, very grateful of all that. I've been told that the project focuses on key issues of climate change, energy, and sustainability, with an emphasis on transformation and governance. Actually, this project has got very, very big words, things that we need in today's world. These issues feature as priority area in the university research agenda. It is not only that they are emerging issues globally, but also they are of national importance. And when we speak about Mtwara and Lindi, the whole issue of gas and oil, ladies and gentlemen, you may recall what happened when these projects, when the oil and the gas exploration started in Mtwara and Lindi. There were popular protests, actually violent protests from residents or from people in Mtwara and Lindi against the transfer of gas to Darcelam, but also they wanted to benefit the community for making sure that processing factories and the industries actually are being built in Mtwara and Lindi. So when the project started, it was quite political and highly politicized. But this gives us an opportunity at the university to use science to study the issue of sustainability, the issue of climate change, but also the issue of community benefit from all these projects. So this is even more relevant today, since our country is endowed with natural gas, which is an equally important source of energy to boost the industrial economy. Hence, understanding how such large-scale investments are benefiting and will benefit communities across scales is actually very vital. And that's why the University of Darcelam finds these projects, all of 11 projects, very, very critical. Coastal areas are among the geographical regions that are affected quite severely by climate change through ocean warming and sea level rise, and therefore threatening economic growth, long-term prosperity, as well as the survival of already vulnerable populations. The result is the persistence of economic, social, and environmental vulnerabilities, particularly for the economic and livelihood sectors. We are very optimistic that this research will generate knowledge for action. Once again, Your Excellency, on behalf of the University of Darcelam and on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, we really thank the Norwegian government for supporting this collaboration, and we look forward for a very fruitful relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, I was given an assignment by Dr. Rose, and she's giving me a look like, are you going to do that assignment? So with great pleasure and honor, let me take this opportunity to invite the guest of honor, Her Excellency Mrs. Elizabeth Jackson, the Ambassador of Norway, to launch this very, very important project. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much, Professor Benedetto. Professor Benedetto, representing the Vice Chancellor of University of Darcelam and responsible for research. Vice Chancellor of the State University of Zanzibar, Dr. Zakia Abubakar, Professor Pius Yanda, from a very important role in this project as well as many other projects before this. Director of IRA, other professors and researchers from both Tanzania and Norway. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me thank you warmly for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here at University of Darcelam always, and a great pleasure to be here for this very important launch of the climate change, energy, sustainability, the CENSU project funded by the NORAD 2 program, which again is funded by NORAD. So I'm pleased to represent NORAD today. The cooperation between Norway and Tanzania in research goes back many years, nearly 50 years. Many Tanzanians have studied in Norway, and many Norwegian researchers have done work in Tanzania. About 37 years ago, that was in 1984, I was one of the scholars from Norway who visited Tanzania and traveled around for a few weeks to learn more about the development cooperation between Norway and Tanzania. Today I'm here as an ambassador, and I feel very honored to represent Norway in Tanzania. And today also I'm honored to be joined by two very good colleagues at the embassy. Odd is the one taking picture, he's there. Odd Arnesen, he has just joined us at the embassy. He's also a former researcher, and he came to Tanzania first time in '94. And he is now responsible for climate issues, agriculture, and environment in the embassy, and also he will follow up on education and research. Together with my other colleague, Yasin Wakisu, who is the long-standing local employee at the embassy with a long experience in all these matters, also in climate change discussions. And Yasin is educated at University of Darcelam. He has his PhD from here. So we are happy, we have a good team at the embassy to follow up and engage with universities like University of Darcelam. Over the past 7 years, the Norwegian Program for Capacity Development in Higher Education and Research for Development, that is the NORHED program, funded by Norway through NORAD, has supported the University of Darcelam and other universities in East Africa on research about various topics, including climate change. So this launch today is a product and a continuation of this support. Tanzania has now, in the second round of the NORHED program, received a total of 18 of the total 60 approved projects for NORHED 2. So a big portion of the NORHED programs have actually been approved for cooperation with Tanzania. And this call, as it has been said, provides funding for several years from 2021 to 2026. So it's a long-standing research cooperation. And University of Darcelam is participating in 11 projects, as you heard from Professor Bernadette Kilian. Out of the total 18 projects in Tanzania, 11 of them are with the University of Darcelam. That's 61%, so hongera sana. This shows that collaboration between the University of Darcelam and Norwegian universities is becoming stronger and stronger. It also demonstrates the existing research capacity at the university. And I'm happy that Tanzania, as one of the partner countries in Norway, is benefiting from a high number of these projects. The CENSU project, which we are launching today, will address the needs for increased education and research capacity to address some major development challenges related to the implications for climate change mitigation. This is not the easiest topic to choose, considering ongoing discussions and realities around climate threats, but it is nevertheless a very, very important one. We hope this research and capacity building project will help to provide evidence-based knowledge as a basis for future policy decisions. But I want to mention a few other historical factors, because our support to University of Darcelam goes back many years. In addition to the NORHED program, the embassy has provided financial and technical support to the University of Darcelam. The most recent direct partnership is through the RED Plus initiative, where the University of Darcelam participated in the Climate Change Impacts Adaptation and Mitigation Program. It was called CEAM, which focused on research and capacity building. The CEAM was implemented from 2011 to 2016. And in addition to CEAM, the Institute of Resource Assessment, IRA, of University of Darcelam was elected by the government also to be the secretariat of the Tanzanian RED Plus task force that was overseeing the RED Plus implementation. And we had many pilot projects around Tanzania at that time, and Yasin was very much involved in the process. Last year, the embassy signed the agreement with the Vice President's office to take over this secretariat function to ensure a stronger government ownership. We are happy to see that we still have institutional memories from both sides that can be used to revisit results from these initiatives and draw lessons to improve ongoing and new related projects. Today, everybody knows that world leaders are gathered at the COP26 discussing climate change. And this launching event coincides with the climate talks currently taking place in Glasgow. The conference is gathering world leaders, including leaders from Tanzania and from Norway. The launch today reminds us that the relevance of the topic of climate change is very, very important. It is discussed by heads of states, ambassadors, university leaders, researchers, and others. We don't know what exactly will be the future discussion between these countries. It's very important for the work that also policymakers will rely on. So as I'm concluding, I want to say something about Norway's cooperation with the University of Darcelam. Because as I mentioned earlier, we see an increase on the number of NORHED 2 projects at this university. And the reason for us being here today is, of course, to be part of this launch, but it's also to signal that we would like to strengthen Norway's relationship with the University of Darcelam. So I hope you can bring this to the Vice Chancellor also. We have an ambition to move from an individual project follow-up to a more holistic and coordinated approach that will involve the embassy and the University of Darcelam and NORAD in both NORHED projects and other initiatives. The embassy is happy to contribute to a more strategic and improved research cooperation where we can use our available expertise from both diplomatic and local staff. I wish the University of Darcelam and the Oslo Metropolitan University, Oslo Met, and other collaborating universities the best of luck with the research, and I look forward to findings that will help Tanzania and Mozambique make use of their resources for a sustainable development. Finally, let me again thank you for inviting me to this launch. I've learned a lot about the cooperating partners, about the University of Darcelam, and I've learned a lot more about the project. So let me now conclude and wish you the best of luck, everybody. Asanteni sana.
Another round of applause for the ambassador. Thank you, Your Excellency, for launching the capacity building project, the CENSU project. I just want to confirm even a little bit further with Professor Killian. Actually, 2 nights ago, I received a message that the College of Humanities had successfully won funding from NORPAT, another Norwegian government campaign. So it's a Norwegian partnership program for global academic cooperation. So the money that you gave the Department of Philosophy has done its work. It has been quite an afternoon, and I'm sure I would want to continue listening in on all the glowing accounts about the CENSU project. But as we go towards the end, I would like to welcome Dr. Matthew Senga to come and deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of the University of Darcelam for hosting this event. Karibu.
Her Excellency, Mrs. Elizabeth Jacobson, Ambassador of the Norwegian Embassy, members of the Diplomatic Corps who are here, Honorable Vice Chancellor from State University, Zanzibar, Dr. Zakia Bakal, Honorable Professor Benedetta Killian, Deputy Vice Chancellor Research, but representing the Vice Chancellor, University of Darcelam, Director, IRA, Project Leader, also Project Coordinator, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's an honor to have been asked to offer a vote of thanks on the occasion of the inception meeting of the CENSU project. On behalf of the University of Darcelam and the entire management, I'm very hearty gratitude to all researchers behind this collaborative project and to the speakers for sharing the graceful words with us in today's meeting that marked the launching of the project. The Honorable and the respected guest of honor, it has been our tribute to host the members and also audience of the meeting. The University of Darcelam is thankful to all the participants for coming here and attending the inception meeting. We have been fortunate to have a renowned identity from academics, industry, and other areas, and I'm very thankful to the entire participant for this meeting. As it was mentioned by Professor Benedetta Killian and later by Her Excellency Mrs. Elizabeth Jackson, the University of Darcelam has been an honor for the University of Darcelam to have won the 11 projects under NORAD 2. This remarkable achievement demonstrates the university's desire to realize the implementation of its research agenda while ensuring multidisciplinary research collaboration. Since Norway has been one of the chief development cooperation partners for several decades, our university will continue to welcome significant provision from diverse groups in the future and to enhance multidisciplinary research collaboration. I take this occurrence to thank the entire project team, our collaborators, Oslo Metropolitan University, State University of Zanzibar, Eduardo Mondlane University, Rio University, as well as the audience for representing their valuable views. I must remark a proficient sense of gratefulness all of our guests for sharing with us your valuable time and suggestions. All the participants of this meeting are all inspired by your highly sparkling words. On behalf of the University of Darcelam and our collaborators, I want to once again extend our generous thanks to the entire guests who have come from long distances for their support and cooperation. It's not possible to thank everyone for such an appreciating involvement and the willingness they have expressed. So kindly receive our appreciations. With these few words, I thank Her Excellency, Guest of Honor, for taking the initiative of addressing the audience and officially launching the project. Good afternoon. Karibuni sana Chuo Kikuu cha Dar es Salaam.
The vote of thanks now marks the end of our event. However, I noticed that Dr. Senga forgot to thank me. So, Your Excellency, let me take this opportunity to thank myself for the good job that I've been doing right here. I'm honored that in 10 days I've been able to stand in the presence of 3 ambassadors. So I think I might become an ambassador soon. We're now going into a final activity, that is group photos, and we only have 5 group photos, one of the high table itself, and then the second photo would be representatives from the University of Darcelam, State University of Zanzibar, Oslo Metropolitan University, Edward Mondlane University, and Lurio University, who are present with us here today. So they are going to stand behind the high table and take a photograph. Another photo opportunity would be for staff from the Center for Climate Change here at the University of Dar es Salaam. We'll also have a 4th photo with the principals, deans, and directors who are present here today. And the final photograph will be the high table together with the organizing committee. So the photographers, the protocol people are working and organizing the seats. Please bear with them. I have been reminded here that we have representatives from the government who are with us here today. So we'll also have you take a photo opportunity with the high table. So that will be our 6th photograph. I'm not sure if this chair is okay. Photographers, please take. Are you done? Okay, can I have the representatives from SUSA, University of Dar es Salaam, Edward Mondlane University, Lurio University, and Oslo Met University?
Tanzania.